Well, hello everybody, this is Randy, the ragamuffinpiper. It was started out with some sun today, but it is cloudy and more storms are coming, but I'm outside. It's about 40 degrees, so it's a good winter day here. Not doing anything that we can't shoot outside. Sitting here with the gray lady. Coming to you to tell you an old story from my childhood. I have my Dr. Grabow. What is this? It is a Royal Duke Dr. Grabow. It's a 6mm. Got a nice 6mm charcoal filter in there, so I don't use this pipe much. I wasn't too happy with the purchase, to be honest with you. I did one of those things that you normally do. When you're not thinking enough and you don't put enough effort into your thought process before you hit the buy it button, I didn't look at the bowl size, and I like a little bit bigger bowl than this has. I bought it as an inexpensive pipe to mow the yard and to go fishing and things like that, and I thought it'll survive that and I won't worry too much about it. But it doesn't smoke bad. It's just got a pretty small bowl, and it's like it's over before I'm ready. And smoking in it is a little bit of a sample that was sent to me by a Smoking Cardboard. Bless your heart, buddy. And it's I guess it's pronounced Reiner. It's a German company that I know of. I'd have to ask my wife. My wife speaks a little bit of German. She always corrects me on how I pronounce stuff. R-E-I-N-E-R. Reiner. 71 gold. And I looked it up. Still available. It's got some white Virginia in it. And I think burley. Let me see if I can read it to you here, because I don't want to lead you astray. It's a special blend of golden Virginias, a little white burley, and a touch of perique. And it's very rough cut. I don't know what you would call it, but you need to rub it out a little bit if you want, or just jam it in the bowl, pack it real good. It's up to you, but it is a very pleasant burley. You guys know that I smoke a lot of aromatics, and I'm always looking for something that I enjoy. Perique is one of those that I can enjoy a little bit of. Sometimes the perique added to some of these blends is a little over the top for me, and but this one's good. It's good stuff. It's another keeper, and I may be purchasing a little tin of this. I say little, but I think they only come in 100-gram tins. They look like a little small paint can. So that's okay. I'll get some of that. It might last me 5 or 6 years, but I'm going to get some because I like it. And I was thinking the other day that you guys see me with a scarf on, and I'm not trying to be trendy. As you can tell, I'm wearing my coveralls in my work coat. I wear a scarf when it gets cooler weather because I had 2 neck surgeries on collapsed disc. I have degenerative disc disease, so it doesn't keep me from getting out here and working. It just means it's going to hurt. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot. But when I keep my neck warmer, my neck hurts less. So a scarf it is. Keeps my neck from getting cold. So sitting here by the old gray lady, this is a 52 MB38A, I think. It's a military Jeep. Somebody asked that last time, so I'll just tell you what it is this time. It's military MB38A, I think. Sometimes it's hard to tell with some of these. It's not modified, still has the flathead 4-cylinder in it. I rebuilt it, modernized the valves, runs like a top. Still got the original running gear. I added an overdrive so I can go down the road a little more comfortable. Drove it to work and back every day for about 23 years. It has no heat because it's a military Jeep, and I'm a man. It just doesn't have a heater, and I never put one in it, to be honest with you. And I drive it in the snow all the time. I have a little propane heater that I light up inside of it, and that's what we do. So I got my coffee out here, and I had a story for you that came to mind. I wanted to tell this because if nothing else, I wanted to get it on record so my kids can watch it in the future someday. Because it's kind of indicative of the ways back, you know. I heard, oh, who was it? Oh my goodness, might have been Smoking Cardboard. Who? What? No, it wasn't. It was somebody else. Talking about all the stuff we feel like we have to buy, and it triggered a memory for me. And I'm not talking about excess in my story here, but it is comical. So I was about 10 or 11 years old, and I think it was probably a Christmas shopping trip because my folks didn't go to the neighboring town very often unless it was shopping for Christmas or something. And so we were at Sears. We were at a big Sears store. Now I'll have to go back a little bit and introduce you to my dad. He was born in the 20s. He's a product of the Depression. He was in World War II. He was a landing barge skipper pilot. I think I've told you that before, but my dad was a Folgers man, coffee drinking. You guys think I drink a lot of coffee? Well, my dad was known for having a coffee cup in his hand at all times. And what I didn't realize until years later is that my dad knew every store that offered free coffee when we went uptown. He knew if they offered it and where the coffee pot was. And you may not think Sears has free coffee, but he knew that Sears had free coffee. So my mom was off shopping something, doing something, and I'm following Dad around the store. Like I said, I'm probably 10, 11 years old, maybe something like that. This is the mid-70s. Maybe 74, 75, something like that. And Dad's already been to the coffee pot, and he had his little, you know, cup of coffee. It's probably a styrofoam cup of coffee, and we were wandering around. And we wandered into the appliances, and in that area, you know, back then they had the appliances and TVs and all that kind of stuff kind of in one spot. Now, we watched an old console television, and I don't think my dad was about to even consider buying a TV, but we were probably watching something that was playing on the TVs. And the guy walked up to my dad, and he says, "How you doing?" And they had their small talk, and he was wandering a little bit as we talked. And he looked at this new gadget they had hanging on the wall there. It was sitting on their display, and he said, "Now, this here, sir, is something that you need." My dad says, "I don't know about that, you know." And he says, "What is it?" And he says, "Well, they call it a microwave. Microwave oven. You can cook chicken in it. You can cook meatloaf. You can cook anything you want in it. It cooks it faster and better than a stove. It's ready right now. Just a few minutes." My dad couldn't cook anything. He could barbecue a little bit, but he could cook waffles. That's the one thing he could cook. He could do that. But he rarely touched the stove. But his response to the guy was, my wife already has a stove. What I need one of those for? She cooks really good on it. I don't think she needs that. And he goes, oh, well, this will speed up her time and she'll be very happy. And he goes, I don't know about that. He says, well, have you got coffee in your cup there, right? And my dad looked at his cup and he says, yeah, I got coffee in here. And he says, well, it can heat up coffee. And my dad said, what? It makes coffee? And he said, no, it doesn't make it. But if your coffee gets cold, you can heat it up. Now, my dad came from the perk days, much like myself. We perk our, well, I don't perk my coffee, but I make coffee by boiling it. So when we drank coffee, it was hot. And my dad didn't like coffee that was lukewarm. He wanted it hot, just off of boiling, so about 200 degrees. And the guy said, well, if you'll let me, he says, I'll put your coffee in there and reheat it for you. My dad said, we don't need anything else in our kitchen. We've got no room for it. We had a little country kitchen in our house in the country, and there wasn't any room for two people to pass, much less having these were big machines back then, right? Kenmore, it was a big thing. It was like buying a small television. He said, well, let me show you what it'll do. And so my dad handed him his half-full coffee cup that was probably cooling off by now. He stuck it in the machine, he punched a couple of buttons, and out in 30 seconds or so, it came out, and he handed it back to him. It was steaming and hot. My dad took a sip of that coffee, and he says, how much is that thing? And it wasn't cheap, let me tell you. My dad didn't like spending money, but he spent money for things that were good. And when he bought something, he wanted to be worthwhile. And he said, how much is that thing? Needless to say, we went home with a microwave. Not because it could cook meals and make things faster or defrost meat or anything like that. We took a microwave home because, by golly, it could reheat coffee. In the cup, no less. To this day, it cracks me up that we don't need one of those things. We already have a stove. What do you mean it heats coffee? You know, it didn't end up in the kitchen. My dad built a special altar. I mean, a shelf. My dad built a special shelf and had to rewire a plug behind it so he could install this thing in the dining room. And that was his little pride and joy for a while. People come over and say, watch this. Let me eat your coffee. He was a simple man. I'd like to tell you there's a life lesson in that story, but there really isn't. I remember as a kid thinking, oh man, it heats coffee. That Dad sold. he's in. And like everybody, we learned that it could cook things, and we tried things. Most of the things we tried in it to cook, you know, were terrible. They weren't as good, and so it didn't get used a lot for a long time, except to reheat coffee and things like that. Now look where we are, right? We got people heating up dinners in them and making their dinners and cooking eggs, and I still don't use a microwave that much. I use it to defrost stuff when I'm going to cook, but every time I open the door, I think of my dad. My dad passed away in 2006, so he's been gone a while, and that story needs to live on because it's worth it. You gotta heat your coffee up, find you a microwave. This 71 Gold blend is really good stuff. It's not bad. You know, we have a whole generation of people that are living now that don't remember times without microwaves. Not everybody might have one, but they know what they are and how they work and what they can do. Don't have any memories of picking up the phone to call somebody and hearing your neighbor having a conversation. Or listening to the phone ring to see if it was your ring, because it might not be your ring, it might be your neighbor's ringtone, so you had to wait to see how many rings it was to see if it was for you. Cars without heaters. It was an option on my old Apache pickup. Yo, you want a heater? That's extra. Well, thank you for indulging me telling my story. All I got left, I think, is stories. And they're fun to tell. They're fun to tell. So if you have half a mind and you want to try something new and you haven't tried anything, and man, Perique is just maybe not in your wheelhouse, you want to try some of this Reiner 71 Gold. It's good stuff. And maybe next time, think of when you go walking up to your microwave to heat up that whatever you're heating up, think about a 10-year-old kid standing there in Sears looking up, seeing lukewarm coffee going in and hot coffee coming out. We thought Star Trek had done come to our world. That's no lie, man. No lie. Hey, until next time, this is Randy with the Ragamuffinpiper here. God bless you. Everybody have a great day. And as always, thanks for joining me here at the Hidden D. Fixing to get snowy here. A little bit, maybe more rain, who knows. But we'll still keep coming around. You can't get rid of us that easy, right? We'll be here. And we'll be telling our stories and trying to make sense of it all. Who knows, maybe someday one of my grandkids will be watching this video with whatever kind of devices. It'd be like a 3D holographic image on the table or something. God bless y'all. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.